We recently spent 4 hours with Kuni II, and so far, it's every bit as inviting and charming as the first game. It's an RPG that seems almost restless with ideas, yet for all the new ways the sequel presents itself, it still retains an almost childlike appeal. Evan, a prince who serves as the story's focus in Kuni II, is a prime example of why the overall cast is so easy to get attached to. His kingdom was taken from him, and now your chief goal is to reclaim it. Since Evan is only a boy, he's naive in a lot of ways, including how to rule. Instead of whining or blaming others for his own ignorance, Evan seems to acknowledge these shortcomings and leans on the expertise of others. His maturity and strong will during tough situations make you want to root for him. Similarly, Tani, a young sky pirate, doesn't back down from anyone or anything. She can see when others are trying to lie or deceive, tackling such moments head on. Together, Evan and Tani have a welcome amount of common sense. The explorable areas in Kuni II are well detailed and full of life. Tani's sky pirate home perfectly captures the spirit of the boisterous airborne warriors. Spiky wooden barricades and small homes nestled within the cliffside give the impression of a harsh but proud sort of life. More spectacular is the city of Goldpaw. Built around gambling, Lady Luck quite literally decides nearly everything that happens within the buzzing neon streets, from taxes to proving someone's innocence. Each location has a strong identity, making us eager to see what the rest of the game has in store. It's possible to check in on distant locations thanks to the Leaf Book, a pseudo-social media device where the thoughts and feelings of others throughout the world are posted for you to browse. Environments outside of cities and towns are also intriguing thanks to the way they're laid out. The mountains around Tani's home, for instance, feature very useful clovers that can be used to create a gust of wind, boosting the player to higher paths and potentially hidden treasure. Outside of the world map, battles happen seamlessly. You simply swing at an enemy and you're in a fight without any sort of transition or waiting period. Considering the battles are quick as well, it all keeps things moving, giving the game a lot of momentum and preventing exploration from feeling like a slog. The battles themselves are easy to pick up and immediately understand. Players enter combat with 3 characters that you can switch between at any time. When not actively controlled, the other 2 characters operate independently. While fighting, characters have access to melee and ranged attacks, as well as special skills. Interestingly, skills and ranged attacks share the same resource pool, so deciding how to best utilize them will remain important. Each character can swap between 3 different melee weapons, and this is crucial because of the zing gauge. As you strike with a weapon, the zing gauge builds up, and when it's full, skills become more powerful. The gauge incentivizes players to constantly switch weapons, so there's a full gauge as often as possible. Overwhelmingly adorable sprites called Higgledies also aid during combat. Periodically, the Higgledies gather together, and by running to them, you can prompt an ability, like a cannon to deal extra damage, or a spell that provides a pinch of healing. Enemies may ruin things by attacking where Higgledies gather, so if you do want them to help out, you'll need to be mindful of where a foe is positioned at any given time. Between the zing gauge and the Higgledies, combat feels very active and engaging, without flooding the player with too many systems at once. Another element of combat which unlocks a little later on is the Tactic Tweaker. By spending battle points earned by leveling up, players can adjust things like how effective they are against a certain type of enemy, or how resistant they are to an element or status effect. However, being more effective against one thing will mean you're weaker to another. Because of the trade-off, you may have to calibrate the Tactic Tweaker depending on the particular area you find yourself in, being careful not to put yourself at an obvious disadvantage. Evan's journey of rebuilding his kingdom isn't just some distant story goal to chase after. Throughout the course of the game, you'll recruit characters and build facilities for your brand new kingdom. Players can assign personnel that will research projects based on whatever specific facility they're assigned to. It could be anything from a new spell to learning how to make basic weapons. While we've only been able to see the beginning stages of kingdom building, it does seem like many of the side quests within the game reward the player with new personnel for the kingdom. The last 2 notable things that we encountered are Dreamer's Mazes and Skirmishes. For one side quest, you'll be asked to seek out Dreamer's Doors throughout the world, which transports the players to a multi-floor dungeon without a map, where the ultimate objective is to beat a boss on the final floor. There's plenty of loot to gather on the way down. The only problem is that the longer you take, the more powerful enemies become, with the danger level increasing at the top right corner of the screen. It's unclear what the exact reward is for finishing all of the Dreamer's Mazes, but the maze we got through is sufficiently challenging. Skirmishes act as a light real-time strategy minigame where Evan controls small groups of forces that attack automatically when in range of an opposing army. Each of your forces also has special abilities that they can use in battle, such as calling in an airstrike to drop bombs on the enemy. The downside is that abilities consume resources, so they have to be implemented carefully. There will apparently be times later in the story when you're forced to skirmish, so it's vital to strengthen your crew in optional skirmishes found on the world map to get prepared. After 4 hours with Ni no Kuni II, it's easy to be optimistic. Not only are core elements such as the story, world, and battle system fleshed out, there's a plethora of weird, unexpected elements to dig into. Hopefully, the full game is as impressive as what we've played so far.